November 24, 1971. A tall man in his mid-40s stepped through a crowded terminal of Northwest Orient Airlines and purchased a one-way ticket for Flight 305 from Portland to Seattle. The man identified himself as Dan Cooper. Shortly after 2 p.m., Cooper started boarding Flight 305. It's a Boeing 727, carrying 36 passengers and 6 crew members. At that time, Boeing 727 was one of the most advanced passenger aircraft in the world. Once he settled in seat 18E near the rear of the cabin, he ordered a soda, lit up a cigarette. Back in the early 90s, smoking on commercial aircraft was perfectly legal. Later, he called over a flight attendant, Florence Schaffner, and handed her a folded note. Inside the note was a small handwritten message. "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase. I would like you to sit beside me." Schaffner quietly sat beside Cooper. He slowly opened his briefcase. Inside were red cylinders and tangled wires attached to a battery, it appearing convincing enough to think it was a reel. Cooper demands are quite simple. He wants $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle to refuel the aircraft. Once listening to Cooper's demands, Schaffner carried his message to the cockpit. The pilot contacted air traffic control. Within minutes, local police and FBI were alerted. For the next 2 hours, the aircraft circled through the dark skies in between Portland and Seattle, while authorities scrambled to collect the ransom and 4 parachutes. Banks gathered thousands of $20 bills. And before handling over the ransom, the FBI photographed every single bill's serial number. If Cooper survived and spent the money later, investigators hoped they could track him. At 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The runway was surrounded by police, FBI agents, and emergency crews. The exchange happened carefully. Ground crews delivered the ransom money and 4 parachutes. After delivering the money to Cooper, Florence Schaffner was replaced by fellow flight attendant Tina Mucklow, who remained with Cooper for the rest of the time. Moments later, the passengers has released. Nobody knew they had just survived a hijacking. The aircraft has been refilled, ready to go to next destination. The only people remaining on board were Cooper, Captain William Scott, First Officer William Radizak, Flight Engineer H.E. Anderson, and flight attendants Florence Schaffner, Tina Mucklow, and Alice Hancock. Cooper instructed the pilots to fly toward Mexico City at a low altitude of 10,000 feet, with the landing gear partially lowered, flaps set at 15 degrees, and the rear staircase left unlocked. Somewhere over the dark forest of the Pacific Northwest, Cooper ordered Tina Mucklow to go to the cockpit. From then, he remained alone in the cabin. At around 8:13 p.m., Cooper stood up from his seat, tied the ransom bag around his body, and strapped on one of the parachutes. Somewhere between Seattle and Nevada, Cooper jumped into the stormy night above the forests of southwest Washington. The crew didn't realize immediately that he was gone. Moments later, the pilots has confirmed Cooper was jumped through downstairs. Then the pilots finally received permission to land at Reno International Airport in Nevada. As soon as authorities realized Cooper had vanished from the aircraft, the FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in American history. All that remained were a few eyewitness accounts, a faded black clip-on tie left inside the aircraft, 8 cigarette butts, and a name written on an airline ticket, Dan Cooper. Cooper was described by crew members as a middle-aged white man with brown eyes and dark hair. He appeared wearing a black coat, black tie, and dark sunglasses. Based on the descriptions from the crew, the FBI created several composite sketches. Before they could properly begin the search, investigators first had to figure out exactly when Cooper jumped from the aircraft. None of the crew members witnessed him jumping. Even the fighter jet pilots, who were secretly following the aircraft from behind, couldn't clearly see the rear staircase because of the heavy rain and darkness. The crew later reported strong vibrations and unusual airflow sounds around 8:13 p.m., likely caused by the rear staircase being lowered during flight. Agents searched forests, mountain ranges, and rivers across the Pacific Northwest. Helicopters scanned miles of wildness. For years, the case went cold. No witnesses, no body, no trace of the man who disappeared into the night. Investigators suspected Cooper may have military experience. He specifically requested 4 parachutes, understood aircraft details, and instructed the pilots to fly at a precise altitude and speed suitable for parachuting. He also appeared comfortable jumping at night during severe weather, something an untrained person would likely avoid. They also noticed he knew the Boeing 727 had a rear staircase that could be lowered during flight, a detail most civilians didn't know at the time. That knowledge strengthened the theory that he may have had aviation or military training. Later in 1980, a young boy digging along the banks of the Columbia River found the bundles of cash buried in the sand. Immediately, he reported to FBI. When investigators checked the serial numbers, they matched Cooper's ransom money exactly.
Hijacker D.B.Cooper, the first break in the only unsolved airplane hijacking in United States history, came on a Columbia River beach. 8-year-old boy dug up the shreds of $3,000 on Sunday.
It was the first real piece of evidence found in nearly a decade. The discovery only deepened the mystery. Investigators still couldn't explain how the money ended up there, or what happened to Cooper after the jump. Over the years, hundreds of suspects were investigated, but none could ever be proven to be the man known as D.B. Cooper. Despite decades of searches and FBI investigations, the hijacker who vanished into the stormy night was never found. In 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation officially closed the D.B. Cooper case. Yet even today, it remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. No one knows whether Cooper survived the jump or disappeared forever into the darkness.